and going on massive winning streaks, but recently, of recent tournaments, I can only go back to San Luis and Topolov's winning the World Championship as so impressive as what we're seeing here.
Very nice performance by the Italian-American. The modest Italian-American.
American-Italian.
I'm playing pretty well, decently.
Yeah. Okay. So.
And tomorrow, to recap, tomorrow we've got Nakamura playing white against Fabiano Caruana. Can he win yet a fourth game against the phenom in this tournament? Levon Aronian playing against Magnus Carlsen. Levon will have the white pieces. And then Veselin Topalov playing against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. So you've got the two highest rated and the two lowest rated playing, well, not anymore, but pre-tournament, Levon and Magnus were the two highest rated.
Right. And there is a trap. I see that these grandmasters, they're tricky. Veselin has just played the move knight to c5, setting up a very, very nasty trap. You can't play the move knight d4 because bingo, we're in a king and pawn ending where Black's king is going to be able to come across the board, swing across the board, and actually elbow White's king aside.
Watch out for those transpositions to king and pawn endgames.
And win the e3 pawn and win the game.
But so usually it's okay to just rely on intuition when you get into a king and pawn endgame, right?
No. No, what are you teaching Rex? Poor Rex, that explains everything.
It's another joke.
It's another joke, okay.
No, king and pawn endgames are very
concrete,
tactical, so you need to make sure that you double check them.
Exactly.
Double, triple, rather.
Something.
And, of course, here, you don't need a lot of checking. Knight d4 is not okay, and Magnus, of course, did not play it. Instead, he played knight to a3 check.
Exactly.
And they repeated moves. Meanwhile, Fabiano Caruana has played the move rook to h5.
As expected. And I think that is going to, that move rook h5 specifically, I think that's going to induce a handshake. I don't see Levon playing the move rook f7 and asking his opponent to demonstrate rook h7. That's not necessary. Maurice, your thoughts?
Actually, there is another funny line involving the knights again, trapping those knights, that will have to be found by Caruana. The move knight to d8, attacking that pawn, trying to get it directly, is possible. And after the move rook check, he can also queen right away. But let's just play the check first. King here attacking the rook. And now the simplest move, a little surprising, is to actually promote to a queen. Let me get that on the board. And now knight takes. All right, my mouse is arguing it wants to be used. And now the move rook to g8. And look at those knights again. And one of them will clearly be taken off the board, and once a knight goes, it's going to be the exchange and two extra pawns and resignation. There's no way this is going to be continued, so a cute little move, and that'll be it. So it's over. And he has, in fact.
Indeed, we have a resignation.
After
and
rook h5, yes.
Officially, Fabiano Caruana starting with 4 out of 4 in the Sinquefield Cup, the strongest tournament in history.
What are we going to do, guys? We just got to applaud, right?
Incredible.
The young man has impressed us to the point that we're like, wow, we're in awe. We're seeing something absolutely phenomenal.
That's right. Bravo, Caruana, a.k.a. Mr. Perfect.
All right. And have the players agreed to draw in Magnus's game?
Doesn't look like it. In fact, international arbiter Chris Bird just tweeted, are they really going to make me give them another set of score sheets? Apparently, yes, as we just saw on the webcam. These two are determined, king versus king, perhaps.
Well, I mean, Veselin, I understand, wants to make absolutely sure of everything.
He did show a line where he was winning.
Well, exactly.
It would have required a massive blunder.
Right. But I think what we're about to see is this knight, White's knight, pardon me, going to f2 and then going to h3, capturing this pawn on g5.
Yep.
And then capturing this pawn on e4.
And indeed, that is what happened. And I think
You know, I like that, by the way. Even though
Oh, but this is
everybody knows
cool.
they both know
Yeah.
it's a draw. To play it out for the spectators, so the spectators,
It's
and there
fun.
you go.
King
You're
versus
right.
king with a couple knights for good measure.
Okay.
So, you know, there are no mating chances anymore.
A hard-fought, well-played game with Topolov wondering. I think he actually asked, "Did I miss the win?" You know, I think that was his first question.
Oh, no, did
I
you
know.
look at that? Look at his
yes.
face.
Do you see his face?
Oh.
He says,
Look at his
"Oh," and
face. Well, no, Maurice
and,
doesn't get to do the honors. It looks like Magnus did it for you.
and
I want
Magnus.
to know what happened. That
Yeah.
sounds like.
Well, it
I
was
think Magnus just told him the rook c5, right?
Well, I don't know if it was rook c5 so much as I think Veselin, after shaking hands, saying, "Did I miss something?" And Magnus said, "Yes, I think you should have played this." And the eyes went, "Oh, I had that opportunity," and immediately Magnus knew that he had overstepped the bounds of this game.
Well, we had been keeping track, guys, and I don't recall the computer going crazy for any move as we were going through the game. So
I think it was that moment
I
with
think
rook
it-
c5. Yeah.
I think it was right here. What move number is that? Sorry. Well, I can do it on my screen. Sorry, I don't have to. It was. Let's see. We're getting to it. We're getting to it.
And we certainly will be going over it.
And it was the move rook takes a5, and I believe Magnus was saying, I was afraid of rook c5 right here, right now. If you
And
had
now the
played rook
knight,
c,
yeah.
and then the eyes of Topolov lit up, and he said, "Oh my God, I didn't see that."
Because of course the point is that after the capture, that knight on
B8.
b8 is bereft of squares, which is something that we've seen in a number of games today. Those trapped pieces, right?
Exactly.
It's coming up again and again. It's like we have themes of the round.
And if rook c5, if the rook was forced to move away, for example, to anywhere along the 8th rank to, say, g8, then that's the whole point. There's no rook takes c6, and the a pawn on a5 is lost for free. And Veselin just simply missed rook c5, and I think we did too. We skirted past this precise moment. But Magnus recognized immediately that he had gone too far.
And the moment has passed. Topolov has regained his composure. He seemed a little bit upset there for just a second. And
I think he's in shock,
yeah,
actually.
that's right.
Oh, wow. I think he really,
Magnus
really is in shock.
is all smiles today.
Well, he's just like, he was gifted a half point, let's put it that way.
Meanwhile, we're going to start getting our guests set up for the interviews, starting with Grandmaster Levon Aronian.
And I just saw the audience there, and again, there was Mike Magnus thinking, what kind of tournament am I having? He's just shaking his head in disbelief.
Well, at least he didn't lose.
True that, but then again, if you think about it, in a certain manner, so to speak, he got a Magnus position, a position that he wanted to bump and grind for as long as he possibly can, and he only succeeded in avoiding losing as opposed to even getting close to a win. So something is not clicking with Magnus. Magnus is not having his playing his brand of chess.
Well, we'll hear more about that in a minute, but now we've got Grandmaster Levon Aronian, and he is with Maurice Ashley.
with Grandmaster Levon Aronian, number 2 in the world of the official ranking, but now number 3 in the world. Things have not been going so well, and you played your main rival for that number 2 spot. He played some speculative chess, to be sure. It looked like you were more or less okay. What happened this game?
Well, I knew this line more or less. Knight a2 looks like play of out of space, I have to say. And I thought my position is great. I saw exactly in this moment. I could have played knight c3 and bishop c3, dc, queen e3, rook d8. It looked very exciting for me. But then for some reason I just stalled. And then my position started getting worse because, you know, it's also psychological. When you don't do the move that you were planning and you lose the opportunity, you start kind of blaming yourself. And also the position maybe is already slightly worse for black.
Were you surprised when he sacrificed the piece for 2 pawns? He had this maneuver knight to h2 to g4 that would have seemingly put some pressure, but suddenly he sacrificed and just played pretty unclear chess given the position.
Yeah. It was surprising, but I felt that after knight h2 I might be okay because I'll sacrifice the exchange with rook f4 after knight g4, and then probably black is fine. So I thought it was a strong sacrifice.
Indeed, and he ended up getting some kind of real play. It looked like it was very difficult for you to defend
And then I've
in
blundered.
time control.
I've blundered with king h7 ridiculously. Of course, I should play queen e8, and the position is very unclear.
What's your objective assessment of how Caruana is playing right now?
Well, today I thought he was playing strangely, but maybe it's a part of preparation. I don't know. It's
Well, knight a2 was a prepared move. We
Sure,
found out
sure.
from his coach that knight a2 was prepared. But just in terms of his play, I mean, he's either played great preparation, great defensively, as he did against Carlsen when he was attacked. Now sort of maneuvers and then speculatively against you. It seems like he's really grown as a player.
Yeah, I thought he knew the position more than I did, maybe. I mean, I didn't really analyze this. I just felt that it's very natural for black to play. But after I didn't play knight c3, I think he didn't make mistakes. So he played very well.
Final question. The situation in the tournament, I've asked people before, he's sitting on 4 points. The closest player is Lagrave at 2, and the rest of you are at -1. Is the tournament over?
Well, I mean, if I and Magnus keep on, I mean, not winning, and I mean also the other guys, it will be very difficult to catch with Fabiano. So I guess the objective for the players will be to win against Fabiano.
So everybody's ganging up on him, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
We wish you the best in the rest of the games.
Thanks.
Guys, back to you.
Thank you. Well, objectively stated.
Levon Aronian, yes. If Fabiano doesn't lose, then he's going to win the tournament. Fair enough.
That's
and
the way it
and
is.
Nakamura has already laid down his intentions. I had a
Yes.
great score against Fabiano, and
Nobody's talking about it, so
let's
let
go
me
tomorrow.
continue. Yeah,
So let's start talking about it.
Let's start talking about it. Absolutely. Well, that's what it's going to take, because obviously Fabiano is a man on fire.
Although even if Nakamura beats him, he'll still have
He'll still be
massive lead, right?
Right. Well, 2 points ahead of the field. I mean, it's, well, as Maurice described it, he's lapping the field at the moment. I mean, it's early, but 4 rounds is remarkable. You can't make this up. How can you be 2 points ahead after 4 rounds?
And his rating. I mean, he just recently broke that 2,800 barrier, and now he's going to be sitting at like 2,820.
Well, I don't even want to try to guess what his TPR tournament performance rating is so far. I mean,
A billion?
Yeah, 3,000. I mean, what are we talking about?
Oh, it's got to be more
here?
than 3,000, right?
I mean, this is one of the most amazing
I
TPRs
think a billion
ever.
is closer than 3,000.
Very good.
And here he is, Grandmaster Fabiano Caruana, getting set up for his interview with Maurice Ashley. We don't usually do this, but I do want to keep in mind for our viewers that if you hashtag SyncCup, we might occasionally be able to work one of your questions into the broadcast.
Absolutely.
So
No, we enjoy the commentaries, and thank you to all of the people who tweet, actually.
yes, that's true. Yes, many top grandmasters, and he's here. Mr. Perfect, Grandmaster Fabiano Caruana. When can we stop calling him that? He is with Maurice Ashley to talk about yet another win.
Thanks, Jen. With the #1 player in the tournament, that is, we're going to debate the world. Maybe a lot of fans out there are debating that question, but we're with Fabiano Caruana, who has 4 points after 4 rounds. You said you're a decent chess player. Are you upping the self-esteem a little bit now?
Well, the tournament's going great for me, and I think I'm playing pretty well, so I'm very satisfied with it. But I'm trying not to get ahead of myself.
Well, it's our job to get ahead of ourselves. Sorry, we're running out of superlatives to describe your play. Today's game seems very quiet. You played this move, knight a2. Your coach was saying that you guys prepared that little move. To all of us, it looked like not much, but you worked it into a good position.
Well, it's a very complicated position. There was a game, Dominguez Karyakin, and knight a2 was a new move. We had found it some time ago. I decided to play it today. It's not a huge novelty, but it leads to a very interesting game. It's very complicated, double-edged. Black can also take over the initiative, but I think I played accurately. he shouldn't have allowed my queen to get to h5. After that, it was just very, very difficult for him. He can't really do much and always has to watch out for tactics. And at some point, I tried to play h3, knight h2, but when I saw an even better idea with knight a5, I went for it. And after that, I think it was probably very difficult for him to defend, maybe just losing.
You played this move, knight a5. Like you said, it looked like knight h2 was solid, cool. How did you feel when you saw this sacrifice? Did you think, well, I'm winning, or it's just interesting with lots of play and I'll just work by magic?
Well, the problem with knight h2 was I was worried at some point after knight g4 he'll play rook f4, give up the exchange and get a lot of dark squares. Knight comes to c3, and I wanted to sacrifice myself. And I thought I have a big advantage. I wasn't sure if I was winning or just much better, but in any case, practically, I thought it's very difficult for him to defend.
Now, us old guys are looking at this and saying 4-0 after 4 rounds. Okay, that's one thing. To have lapped the field, one person standing at 2 and everybody else at -1. We've never heard of it. How do you feel being in this situation?
Well, it feels pretty good. Yeah, I didn't expect it at all, but I mean, I'll take the wins as they come.
Now, you have a very difficult matchup against Nakamura tomorrow. He has expressed great confidence in playing against you. In fact, when we asked him how are you guys going to stop Fabiano, he said, well, I just have to beat him. I have a good record against him. What are your thoughts there?
Well, he's a very good player, and it's true that I don't have the best score against him, but recently we've made a lot of draws. I don't think I've lost against him in about a year, so I'll try my best tomorrow.
Well, we'll be watching with bated breath for sure. Congratulations on your fine start, and best of luck in the rest of the games.
Thanks.
Our leader in first place, Grandmaster Fabiano Caruana, playing like a world beater right now at 4-0. Guys, back to you.
How sweet it is. It doesn't get any better, does it? And we're going to get set up for Magnus will be coming in shortly, and Topalov. And before that,
Let's take a look and hear a little bit more about this Nakamura Aronian. We've got the 960 match at the end of the event, remember?
Right, exactly.
We were talking about that earlier. That's going to be a rapid match.
Right.
In 960.
And the idea is, well, think about Bobby Fischer said shuffle the pieces at the start of the play, and that way the starting position theory is tossed out,
Right.
and the best player wins. And the idea is that there are 960 positions that are quite, quote, legitimate, which allow for castling the kings in between the rooks and so on. So as opposed to calling it Bobby Fischer chess, you would call it chess 960
Or
because of 960 position.
Right, people kind of use both interchangeably, right? Some people say Fischer, some people say 960. We'll probably switch back and forth during our commentary as well. Because part of the cool thing about the match is that it's partly in honor of the synergy between the World Chess Hall of Fame and the St. Louis Chess Club.
The Bobby Fischer exhibition and so forth.
We've got that Fischer exhibition across the street, which Taryn showed us earlier in the show.
Right.
And just another reason, it's not just the chicken wings and Alejandro and Ben Feingold and Ian and Var. It's also a little bit of chess history. And of course...
and there was a specific book that I just wanted to make sure that the viewers in the audience understood what she was talking about. Before his match in 1972 against Boris Spassky, there was a book in German that came out, the parties of Boris Spassky, which was basically all of the games of Boris Spassky. And Bobby literally walked around with that book for about a year. And there were a couple of friends of mine from New York, Alan Kaufman, Bernard Zuckerman. I'm trying to think, I know there's one other, I think it was Fred Wilson. And the idea was he would challenge. He would go to them at the club or wherever, restaurants, and he'd hand them the book of Boris Spassky's games and say, okay, choose a game. And they would say, oh, Spassky somebody in 1970 Siegen. And he recite the game move for move. So not only had he memorized the game, he had this like picture perfect clarity of Spassky. And the idea that he was prepared for Boris Spassky was an understatement, because he was probably more conversant with Boris's games than Boris himself was. I mean, I forget my own games, But somebody who would memorize all the games you've ever played, that was just a remarkable feat.
And we have world champion Magnus Carlsen here with Maurice Ashley to talk about today's game.
Thanks, Jen. Magnus with us. Magnus, this game you had today, it seemed like you were getting your kind of position, and then it all evaporated. Tell us what happened.
No, today was just awful. The first 2 games of mine were good. Then the game yesterday was at least very interesting, even though I lost it. But today was not real chess. It was just moving pieces around. So
What's going on?
I don't know. Because I thought the first few days I was at least playing okay. Yesterday was not a great day, but I thought apart from my blunder at the end, it wasn't that bad. But today I think we both didn't play at a decent level.
When we saw the game end, you seemed to say something to Veselin that completely shocked him. He kind of looked like. Did you show him a way he could have played that was better than what he did?
I just showed him that he could have played rook c5 there instead of taking the pawn on a5, which I saw that immediately after I'd made my last move, rook c8, and then I would have had to suffer, and I would probably have been successful in my quest to play for a loss.
Wow, so you guys played to king on king. Now we have a situation that the rest of us are trying even to figure out, has it ever happened before, especially at this high level. We have a player who is on a perfect score, one player half his number behind, 2 points behind, and the rest of them at -1. Have you ever experienced anything like this at this level?
It's like Linares 2001, I think, when Gary had plus. It was 6-player round robin. Gary had +5, and the rest had -1.
Ah, wow, great memory. Good one to catch.
Well, hopefully things will change. But Fabiano's playing. He's playing proper chess. He's winning his games in style. And right now, the rest of us can only marvel at what he's doing and aspire to do the same one day.
Wow, that's a frank admission. Nakamura has a different way of viewing this particular problem. He says, I just have to beat him. And he feels pretty confident. He has a good record against him. And then Levon said, it looks like we all have to gang up on him. You take, what is your take on those 2 statements?
It's so nice that they're not ganging up on me for once. So, I mean, obviously, if you want to win the tournament, you have to beat Fabiano, white or black. But right now, for myself, I just need to get back on track. It started out pretty well with 2 good black games, 2 well-played draws, and now the 2 white games have been a complete disaster. So I just need to, regroup, and it's still a long way to go.
Well, thanks so much for joining us, and best of luck with the rest of your games.
Thank you.
With world champion Magnus Caruana, like the rest of us, marveling at how Fabiano Caruana is playing. Guys?
We were talking about Magnus and his dry wit. That was nicely done. We could all aspire to play like
or
Fabiano.
just for once they're not ganging up on me.
Yeah,
but
I like that one
unfortunately,
too. Like they're not ganging up on me.
of course, he wants them to be ganging up on him because that means he's winning the tournament.
Precisely so. Precisely so. Well, if somebody had told me that after 4 rounds a player would be lapping the field, I would have said, well, it's obviously Magnus. So this is really, really so remarkable. I'm in awe.
Fabulous, as we said earlier today, fabulous Fabiano.
There you go.
Although I'm still a fan of Mr. Perfect. That's my pick
You like
for
it,
nicknames.
Mr.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
And let's take a look and see what we got here in terms of the standings. Oh, tomorrow's matches, rather. So we've got Nakamura playing against Fabiano Caruana. Nakamura is ready to go. I've got a good score. Let's make it even better. That's what he said. And as for standings, let's take a look. I think you know who's at the top, if you've been watching the show at all. We've got Fabiano Caruana with 4 points, 2 points ahead of his nearest rival, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, MBL. And look at that rating go. Meanwhile, Levon, Aronian, Hikaru Nakamura, Topalov, and Carlsen all tied for last with 1.5 points. We have a final comment from Maurice Ashley about today's continuingly exciting developments.
Well, it's incredible. I made a slip there and called Magnus Caruana, and his response, cool customer, he said, right now, that's high praise. So, incredible situation. Fabiano is impressing all of us. There's nothing else to say about this tournament right now except Fabiano, Fabiano, Fabiano. I mean, he is fabulous. His play has been just majestic, and we are seeing something special. Magnus Carlsen did say, with his amazing memory, oh yeah, Kasparov, 2001, Linares started off 5-0. That opportunity will come to Caruana tomorrow. We'll be right here checking it out because this is something simply amazing. You see once every 13 years. Pretty astonishing. Guys?
That's right. I mean, that just goes to show Magnus Carlsen, not just memory, just hard work. That guy knows his stuff.
Yes, he does. He is a world champion for a very good reason.
And he has those games memorized. I mean, I remember watching a little documentary of him where he was looking at a position and he had to identify not just the right move, but also where, when,
the names
and who.
of the players, the year that it was played, and so on. And he did it.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So is Fabiano going to continue tearing up this field? You're going to want to check out our pregame show tomorrow. We start at 1:50 Central Standard Time here in St. Louis. Come on down in person if you can. If you can't, make sure to keep your eyes peeled to the computer. And that'll be 2:50 Eastern Time. We'll see you tomorrow for another fabulous day of chess.